Right.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are live in the Songwriter studio. My name is Bluebeard Bard. I am a songwriter based out of Southern Illinois. I play guitar and sing, and I decided to do this show to talk to other songwriters, to meet other songwriters, to learn about songwriting myself, and to share some of what I know with you. Today, we are joined by Pixie Post. How are you doing today, Pixie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very good. You're looking good. Glad to have you on the show. Um, I
Oh, thank
guess
you for asking.
yeah. My first question for everybody is, how did you discover songwriting? What was it? When was it?
It's
How was it? Etc.
it's weird because I think it was in 2022. So I'm relatively kind of new-ish to the
Okay.
scene. I did a collaboration with a friend of mine who's a musician, and I just did a tiny part in it, but it was really, really exciting. It was fun, a fun collaboration, and I was hooked. I was like, you know what? I want to explore this more because I've always been a fan of music. I always had music playing in my room when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and my parents were big time music people, and we loved acting and theater. So it was always a creative environment of some sort.
Okay.
So I just thought, well, you know what? I got nothing to lose. So I did a couple more collaborations, and all is that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. Cool.
Yeah, I was
That's
hooked.
that's awesome. Why did it take so long for you to try, do you think? That's a very interesting question for me because I grew up with a dad who wrote songs, and for me it was always just something that people did. I saw it was like my dad, he went to the bathroom and the toilet, he ate his dinner at the dinner table, and he wrote songs. These were just things that people
Oh,
do,
that's awesome.
you know and that's how I saw the world, as I am a person who will grow up and who will do the things my dad does, and one of those is write songs. And some people, I feel like, really need to give themselves permission, or they need to, maybe like you had have that bump. Why do you think it didn't happen why at 16 didn't Pixie pick up a little keyboard and start tinkering around?
It's weird. I actually had a keyboard, a Casio keyboard when I was
Okay.
a teenager. And I kind of tinkered with the idea then, but I did not know how to play the thing. My parents would yell at me from upstairs in their living room all the way up to my room. Stop that! It sounds horrible. And it's like I would play one note and that was it. It was like my mom was yelling, "Stop that!"
Okay.
And it wasn't like they weren't supportive. They were. It was just it. I was not good at it at the time, and I was more interested in getting to acting. We were real big theater people. That's
Okay.
how my parents met in
Okay.
theater, and I was really focused on that and real life job and all
Sure.
that.
Oh, there's all
As
sorts of
I got older.
distractions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I think it was just one day it clicked. And I thought, well, why not try this avenue? Because I didn't get into acting because after a while I saw the paparazzi that a lot of actors have, and that
Yeah.
kind of turned me off from going that path. And
Yeah.
real life hit, and I had to pay the bills and get a job like everybody else. And
Sure.
I was kind of in that rat race for the longest time. And when I did the collaboration, I thought, you know what? I can do this. Why not try it? Explore a little bit. And I wasn't looking to make a career out of it. It was a hobby at the time.
Yeah.
And it just, my love for it grew. And then I started venturing out on my own. And that was a scary turn for me because
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I had that uh, imposter syndrome. Like,
Sure.
oh, what if I'm not good enough? And, I think we all go through that one time or another.
Oh, sure.
And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Who cares? I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. It's a way for me to creatively express myself and maybe help others because that was my whole uh, thing is like helping others. If I can help one person feel better with my music or my ambience, um, then
Yeah.
it's worth it for me
Yeah.
as well. enjoying the process.
I
So,
I think it's such an interesting thing that so many artists have this feeling, and I have the feeling like you do, that if you connect with one person, if you make one person feel better, it was worthwhile. You don't hear a lot of business people saying, if one person buys my product and uses it, I'll be happy. No, they want it all. They want, like it's only, I feel like, us who have been in the trenches maybe of emotional suffering, or who have been in the trenches of some of these things, who can appreciate that little boost you can get from a song, or from an interaction with an artist. That one of the coolest things I've thought about doing this show is that I get to talk to people who I've kind of wanted to meet. You know, I see
mhm.
I see them post, and it's like, Pixie, what's the deal with this lady? She's positive. She's got this
That's
vibe in
kind of
her
my
music.
default
Yeah,
anyway. So, but I've had my moments too. I've expressed in my music. I did an EP a while back, Soul of the Storm, where I was going through a bad time. I was going through a lot of anxiety, and I felt stuck in life and the creative flow because the
yeah,
flow wasn't coming to me. And I just banged out a tune on my keyboard, and all of a sudden an EP came to life.
yeah.
And so you never really know when the flow will kick in.
No,
That's
yeah.
why I'm really big on the idea first before the music. Um,
Okay.
e- Even in everyday life, you can make music out of something like
Sure.
a great cup of coffee
Yeah.
or, just something like that.
Sure.
And you just have to know where to look. And I think creators and musicians have that sixth sense where they see art in everything they do.
Yeah.
And I
Eh,
have had a greater appreciation for that meeting others in our community. So,
yeah.
you know,
Cool.
so
How much uh are you able to flip the switch when you want to? Because it's one thing to be in a mood where the stuff comes to you and you're feeling this way about this person and you want to express it and etc. It's another thing to sit down and say, you know what, I haven't written a song in a couple weeks. I'm feeling like I gotta do something. I want to flip that switch right now. Can you do that? And if so, how do you do that?
sometimes there are times I used to really fight against feeling stuck, um, that resistant energy. I used to really be down on myself about it, even though I would never show it to anybody. But
Yeah,
behind the scenes, I'd be really down about it. Like, why am I not creating? Why am I not? Why is it not coming to me? Because I'm used to the easy flow when the flow is there.
sure.
But I've learned that it doesn't mean that you're never going to write a song again or you're never going to be in the flow again. It's basically embracing that stuck feeling, and we can't be on all the time.
Sure.
Sometimes you need that rest, and that's when the ideas start coming in, when
Yeah.
you're not resistant to it.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
it took me a long time to really learn that lesson because, oh man, when I wanted to create and I was forcing it, it was not a pretty picture.
yeah.
and and I just realized that you can't force flow. You
No.
just can't.
Yeah.
And I think now what I do, if I can't make music, I'll just do something else that's creative. Like I do the ambience, I'll put a video together for that, or I'm starting to paint now, so I'll do a little painting or write something. Just it doesn't have to be anything that I publish. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be anything. Just keep that flow going.
Yeah.
It's for 5 minutes a day. You know,
Yeah. Cool. Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's really interesting that, I mean, it's a direct connection. I know it's my doggy. It's a direct connection, I believe, between the creative process, creating creative work, and just the mental health game that we all play every day. Some people, it comes real easy and they're
yeah,
just skipping along through the world. And some people, they're fighting it every day and they got to get up and they got to work real hard just to brush their teeth and put their clothes on and get in the car and go to work. You know, not easy for everybody. Some people it
oh yeah,
is.
definitely.
And I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I read somewhere. I don't remember who it was. I'm going to paraphrase, and I don't know who I'm quoting. But the gist of the idea was, when it comes to intellect and emotion, it's never a fair fight. Emotion always beats intellect when these things come. head to head. I mean, imagine when you were enraged, someone coming up to you and being like, "Listen, Pixie, logically, it would be better if you this and this and this." You know, you're not going to go like, "Arr! Oh yeah, you're right." You know, the
Exactly.
you just get
Exactly.
it steamrolls over, and I think uh, with mental health, a big part of getting out of those doldrums, like you say, is having faith. And I don't mean faith in a religious sense, but just faith
No,
that you're gonna feel better again someday. This won't last forever. You'll get back to it. The flow is gonna come. The mood is gonna come. You're gonna be back on your feet.
and sometimes it's I'm a very spiritual person, not religious really, but very spiritual, and I trust in the energy. I trust in the flow, and I notice that the more I trust in that and embrace the rest period, then the flow seems to come back quicker. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I mean, I still have my moments, you know,
Yeah, sure.
like
Everyone
everybody.
does.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but I think the more I trust in the flow and the timing of it, sometimes it's all in the divine timing as
yeah,
well.
sure.
And I really, really believe in that. And that's helped me do my music actually pretty recently.
Yeah,
So I'm working on some stuff right now, but I'm kind of on and off right now because I've had so much flow. So I'm kind
yeah.
of in my rest period,
And you're
but
fallow, kind of a. I think of it as a fallow field.
yeah,
If you're familiar with farming or agriculture, for those who aren't, the idea is basically if you work the field too hard, it loses its nutrients. It doesn't produce anymore. You've got to let the old crops die and rot and replenish the soil and give it a season to recover, and then you're going to have another good crop. But
exactly. It's
yeah,
like pruning the tree.
yep,
Sometimes you gotta, you know, cultivate what you're gonna use and your energy. And I'm a big believer in protecting your energy as well. And I do meditation, all that good
sure,
stuff. Not everybody does that, and that's cool if that's not your thing. But
yeah,
it helps me, and it helps my mental health as well.
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask you something you just said earlier that you've had a lot of flow state recently. What do you do as an instrumentalist when you're at the grocery store or something and a song pops into your head and you go, "Oh, I want to remember that." Do you record it on your phone? Do you just count on your memory or do you rush home? How's that work for you?
Memory is not a good way to do it, at least
Yeah,
not for me. I have a memory of a sieve sometimes, but I'll write it down on my notepad, or I'll do a voice memo. Sometimes I'll bounce it off somebody that I
yeah,
trust. It's a whole. It depends on how I'm feeling at the time, because I don't really know music theory. I don't really get into the technical aspect of
yeah,
things and the way I approach music. It's always about the feeling I want to create and
sure.
the sometimes storytelling. It's always about the heart space and the emotion that I
Yeah,
want it. And when I lean into that, that's when the music kind of flows in
yeah,
as I'm singing.
yeah. That's interesting. It's interesting you say that. I have, if I was if I was more apt with my computer, I could bring it up and show you. But I have a folder on my computer that's full of little piano riffs that I wrote,
Oh,
and then I have them sorted into like the dopiest, corniest sounding names, like aggressive sounding, like longing, like
oh yeah.
melancholy, And
Uh,
it's I think it's cool that for some people they would say that how does that song sound? That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. But to we artists who work with nuance and feeling, we can say, no, Pixie, this is aggressive. This sounds like hip hop. I need something that sounds like this. And you can go, okay, I understand, that
exactly. And we
emotional
all get it
language.
because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because we're all the same in a sense as far as the creative process.
yeah,
I mean, we all might do it differently, but it always comes down to the emotion and to the music itself that we connect to.
yeah,
So if somebody's not connecting to it well, I want to know what might, like little tweaks I can make, or
sure.
they might say something that'll give me an idea, and then
Yeah,
I'll add to the process. So it's
yeah,
it's interesting because you never know. It's like inspiration's everywhere. just have to know where to look. You
Yeah,
really do.
right
Yeah.
on. Yeah, our talk is going really well. We've reached the 15-minute mark, and so I want to play this song because some people
Oh yeah.
probably tuned in specifically to hear Timmy the Brave and hear what you have to say about it. So I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
bring it up here. You don't see it, but our audience sees it right now. Let's see, how do I share my screen? Hang on. I know
There
how to.
you
I've
go.
I've done this before, I swear. Um,
You're doing great.
there's the react. Where's the share? All right, there it is, share. Okay. We're back on track. Share sound, share screen. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring this up.
And he enters the room.
All right. Now, hopefully, this is going to play through and everyone's going to enjoy it and you're going to hear it as well. Here we go. Timmy the Brave from Pixie Post. All right. Timmy the Brave from Pixie Post. Let's see if I can bring our screen back up here. Let's minimize that. And all right, we're back. And
Right.
do I need to unshare this thing? I am still figuring out my
Zoom has
any
always been
yeah.
great.
Anyway, we're back. We're back with Timmy the Brave and Pixie
Yes.
Post, which I really enjoyed. Of course, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to talk about the fact that there's a video which we didn't watch intentionally because I want the song to stand on its own right now. But my first thought was the old school idea of a jazz combo that's passing a line back and forth. Kind of, you had uh, it had a very jaunty, lively feel. It felt very much. I this might sound like a backhanded compliment, but it reminded me of the cantina in Star Wars. You know, when you walk in and there's just all the
Oh
energy
yeah.
and everyone's
I
just
like that.
bopping around. Of course, the music
I
was a little
like
bit
that.
silly because it was a Star Wars cantina, but
That's a
the type of
compliment.
yeah, that the type of place where you'd walk in and everyone would be,
Yep.
you know, smoky and the band would be up there in their own
Oh
little
yeah,
world.
that's
And
great place.
and then passing, you know, I noticed very distinctly that you would take a sort of a melodic theme or a melodic idea and pass it from one instrument to the next, from the guitar to the piano, then you'd slow it down, things like that. Am I way off base in what I'm getting from this song? Is this what you intended, or is there? Yeah,
Yeah,
what do you think?
all of the above actually. It's basically Timmy. It's Timmy himself, his personality, and that's what I wanted to bring to life in
Okay,
the track.
okay.
And
So Timmy is a real person.
he's a cat. He's my cat.
Oh, he's your cat. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I never said that, did
Yeah,
I?
I never.
Yeah.
If you did, I had forgotten. I apologize. But
No,
that's
no worries. He's
okay.
my cat.
That brings a whole. Yeah, talk about that. Let's go.
He he's been my cat. Unfortunately, he's no longer with me. He
Okay.
hasn't passed or anything. He went to my neighbors because
Okay.
of medical issues. But
Okay.
you know, but he had been with me for years, and he just kind of came into my life that way, just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And he's been there for me in my lowest time and my highest time. No pun
Yeah.
intended.
Yeah.
And it it was great. He would be so hyper, but so charming. I
Yeah.
always called him a little angel and a little devil all rolled into one. And he was just, I mean, he'd be hanging off the curtain blinds at 3 a.m. by one of his claws, raising havoc, and all the way to just being like a human and curling up in my arms at night.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was just one extreme to the other. And I always wanted to get a way to capture his essence in a
Yeah.
song, but never really knew exactly how to do it. And of all things, a streamer friend of mine asked me to get some samples of his purring and meows for his modular synthesizer.
Okay.
And he was going to use that on his stream, which he did, and it was fun. And it inspired me to try using the samples and because this is real purrs and meows.
Okay.
And
Cool.
yeah, and I thought, you know what? Let me fiddle around with this. And I was doing primarily electronic, strictly electronic at the time. And I thought, that doesn't fit him. It just doesn't. And the jazzy thing comes from my love for the 40s jazz and the 40s swing music and neo swing.
Sure.
And I always wanted to do an album uh, like back in the day because I've always had a resonance with the 1940s, 1930s, 40s, that realm. And I thought, you know what? Let me try something. So I tried a low tune, plugged in a few things, and it wasn't overnight. It took a while to really get the everything just so
Yeah.
everything flow well. And then I went back to it few weeks later, popped in the samples of him. And once I got it all tweaked out, it was like, oh my God, I finally captured Timmy in the track. And I was so excited. I let a few hear it, and the response was good. And I thought, you know what? Who cares if it's about my cat? I'm going to release it. So
Yeah.
I put Timmy on the cover because it released as single at the time. And I had no idea that people would like it so much. I thought, oh, he'll get a few. Oh, that's cute. That's few nice listens. That's it. But people like it a lot. And
Yeah.
I almost felt like Sally Field. You like me. You really like me. you know,
Yeah.
and it really that's what sparked everything else afterwards. Like I did the frog one and the uh I want to call it Sir Carol. Um Starling. I
Okay.
always have a brain for that. And I love using animal sounds in the samples, as many of people know.
Sure.
And they were all jazzy. And I thought, you know what? Let me put this all together. I got a friend of mine to do the radio broadcast, like an old time radio announcer, and everything just went into the EP,
Cool.
which I now have on CD. So it's
That's
it was
exciting.
like a whole journey. It was amazing. But Timmy is the focal point of what started it all.
Okay.
And I just love that just from one thing, a whole journey just
Absolutely.
locked up.
That's
Yeah.
very, excuse me. That's very cool. I have a
Yeah.
bunch of questions I want to ask from all the information you just gave us. Uh,
Sure.
the first one, I guess, kind of go in order. Are you familiar with the James Taylor song Mona? I think it's called.
I think so. I'm sure I've heard it 'cause I'm a
It's
James
it
Taylor fan.
it's a
So
song he wrote about a pet pig.
okay, yeah. I know
Eh,
I've heard that.
Okay, and it's the for those who don't know it, it was so much of you to love, too damn much to take care of. You know, it was a story about a pigling that he got, and it got too big, and he couldn't keep it anymore, and he wrote this love song to this pig. But it's a
Oh my
beautiful
God.
song. It's a beautiful song, and if you don't know it's about a pig, you got to really pay attention to the lyrics to catch that. And I it makes me think when someone encounters this song in the wild, encounters Timmy the Brave for the first time on their Spotify, or they just come across it, they don't know who Pixie Post is, they don't know anything about your background. Timmy the Brave isn't necessarily a cat. They hear Timmy the Brave and they think, what do you think they think? Because you have to know that your title carries a lot of weight in this song, because most people rely on words to tell them what's going on. And
Right.
it's a big ask for someone. It would be a big ask to say, here's a bunch of untitled songs, just get it from the music you know so when you
Right.
named it Timmy the Brave, where did the Brave come from? And was there any thought of calling it My Cat Timmy the Brave, or Timmy the Brave Cat, or where did these choices come from?
I thought about having Timmy the cat at first, I admit, but it didn't sound right to me. It didn't sound like it would capture his personality. And this could be uh, anyone's perspective. It could be a cat, which I'm literally doing about,
Yeah,
or it could be about a person.
yeah,
Maybe they think of Timmy, the brave person that they know. I mean, it
yeah,
could be anything. So I think it is kind of neat to have the title as Timmy the Brave and leave it up to them.
yeah,
Now, I know that if they listen closely, when they hear the meows
yeah.
and purrs, that'll clue them in. But
Sure.
so, but at first, at least, I think it could be up to anyone's interpretation,
Yep.
and that kind of makes it more fun that way.
I think it makes it really fun. Why the Brave? Why Timmy the Brave? Because
But he is brave.
Timmy's a lot of things, I bet.
Oh my gosh! Well, any cat owner knows when a cat enters the room, They are like, I own the room.
Yeah. Sure.
Or remote there, and it's just catitude. And Timmy definitely had catitude.
Yeah.
He was brave. I mean, he would mess with anything. I mean,
Yeah.
he did not care. I used to have a hashtag, Timmy doesn't give a, you know, you know, 'cause he
Yeah.
didn't. He really didn't. I mean, he was a wonderful cat, affectionate,
Yeah.
loving, charming, all that. But he was a go-getter, and he did not care if it 2 in the morning he'd be howling for supper. He didn't care if he woke you up,
Yeah.
chased moth in the closet.
Yeah.
He did not care if he was hanging by the blinds by one claw
Yeah.
and howling. He really did not.
Yeah.
And there was a cat outside for the longest time that he hated, and he's mostly an indoor cat. So he would be in the kitchen window howling at 5 in the morning. And he never picked a normal time to do all this. And I always set up Timmy the Brave.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not use that for the title?
That's
And
cool.
and in the energy of the music, I always imagine a cat going into a pizza shop or just walking down the street.
Yeah.
And that's where the video comes in that Sonic Squirrel, Mike Jones,
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
And he did the video just perfectly. It was comical. It was so in line with Timmy's attitude. And I think anyone who sees the video will get a kick out of it. And that's in my Bandcamp and YouTube as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was yep. Oh, and by the way, I usually say, but I neglected to this time because
oh,
just
it's
because I
okay.
did is Pixie's Bandcamp is at the bottom of the screen here. She can't see it, but trust me, it's up there. I'm looking at the thing right now. And my Bandcamp's at the top of the screen. It was also in the title if you want a link that you can click on. So go check out more of her music and buy this track for certainly. Um,
It's been quite a journey. I just love the whole thing because it was a dream come true for me to do the whole EP itself.
yeah,
Um, I always wanted to do something that sounded like it was from the old time radio, and Timmy's uh, song just fit into that whole realm, if
cool.
you will. Yeah.
Are there any rules about what we can write songs about? Do you think there's anything that's off limits? Do you think there's anything you
No,
couldn't write a song about?
I don't think so. I think the only limitation is what we put on ourselves. Um, I do think there is um, integrity with music. And that's, I'm not saying speaking for other people, but for myself, there
Yeah,
are certain things that I won't put in my music. I won't put a lot of cussing in my music.
sure.
Um,
You're not going to
Not saying I
sexualize.
don't cuss because I do
Yeah,
cuss,
I
but
I get the vibe too that you wouldn't be the type to try to sexualize yourself or to try to put
no,
yourself out there in that way. I and
no,
that's
not like that. I think the closest I've ever done anything remotely like that was the collaboration I did with Insomniac. And I was like, you want me, and that was so weird, but it was so fun.
sure.
So, because it's like people don't see me like that.
Yeah, why not?
So, and he did a great job on that collaboration too.
Yeah, cool.
Uh, so, I mean, it is fun to experiment and try different things. So
Yeah,
I'm not against that. And I just think, for me personally, I'm more in the how can this help someone? How can this, whether it makes them smile or gives them a place to be present for a moment, or just have fun. That's
yeah,
just as high energy, high frequency as it can be.
yeah,
Um, so I think I always have that in the back of my mind as I
yeah,
create.
yeah.
But
I think that connection is very important, and it makes me think of some people. I spent some time in the world of hip hop, and I don't know a lot about it. But oh, by the way, look at my blue fingers. I dyed my beard today. That's why I look so vibrant and blue. Uh, the world of hip hop. There are songs that seemingly glorify misogyny. There are songs that glorify violence, homophobia, things like this. And in one sense, if I could snap my finger and make all that disappear, I'd snap my finger because I don't want any hatred of anything. But on the
Right.
other hand, if you're reporting from the front lines and this is what you're seeing and this is what people want to hear, is it okay for those artists to do that? Not that Pixie and Bluebeard get to make the decision and everyone's going to follow
No,
suit.
no,
But
definitely.
if we were the kings of the world, would those songs, what about a song where some 16-year-old girl has been, put on stage by a producer to writhe and be very sexual and etc. And there are other 16-year-old girls who listen to that and love it, you know
Right.
they're getting joy out of it, but is it teaching them something bad? I don't know. How do we make those decisions? I know you can just do what feels right in your heart, but when we look into the community, we look who we support, we look who we like to listen to, etc.
Yeah, and like you said, I have no say in what other people do. I'm not
Yeah,
never going to say I'm higher than anybody else.
yeah,
Um, there have been times I've had to actually check myself. Um, my I write a lot of songs, and I'm starting to get into uh, possibly doing some collaborations, people singing those songs eventually.
okay,
But when I'm writing these songs, I want to make sure they're empowering. Not through like, oh, all love and light all the time, and
yeah,
life is not like that, to be honest. But I do try to show the positive aspect in that, because I don't want to glorify hate or violence,
yeah,
or
absolutely,
misogyny or narcissistic views. That you can stay over there.
yeah,
I'm here to help empower people, and just do it for the love of it and do it for the joy of it, because we all have that inner light that can be
yeah,
shown in our heart. And when we choose to do that, I think we make the world a little bit better.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
My 2 cents.
Cool. Cool. How about this? Let's get into the nitty gritty a little bit. When Pixie Post writes a song, what physically happens? Are you sitting at a keyboard? Do you have staff paper? How do you like to work?
It's weird because sometimes it is when I'm at the keyboard. Sometimes I'll play a couple notes and tinker around with just a basic uh, loop, then
Okay.
and see how that'll inspire me. But most of the time, it's usually when I'm having a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
Um, there are a few people I talk with every day, and a lot of the time they're my inspiration, and especially one person. And it's wild how when you're talking with each other, really connecting, how those ideas can come about.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens. And I'll write it down a phrase or a few words. Um, Sometimes when I'm doing my inspirational posts that I do in the morning, um, sometimes inspiration will come from that. And it's you never know what can happen. But when I'm doing the words, I notice that once I start writing, it just flows, and I I don't know where it comes from. I'm assuming the universe just channels through
Mhm.
me
Yeah.
in that way.
It's
And I
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it
That
really is. And I
that
think that
experience.
happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think, there's w- think about when you're dreaming, all of the things that your mind creates. You might not have realized that you had all those details in your head, but there you are
Yeah.
moving through a very detailed world and you're like, geez, did I know all this? Was all of this in me? And I feel like that can kind of be the experience when you're writing something. It's like, I haven't been thinking about this, but it seems to kind of pour out of you. It comes out in a very natural way. um,
It really does. And it's like it's a channeling your higher energy through
yeah,
it. And sometimes I'm wondering, where did this come from?
yeah,
uh, and sometimes it is daydreaming, and sometimes it is from dreams. It's wild. It can
yeah.
come from anywhere. So, and
Cool.
I love being tapped in like that,
Yeah,
because it surprises you sometimes.
It does. How does that feel when you're misinterpreted or misunderstood? Because when you put yourself into a song in that way, for example, if I had done a review of Timmy the Brave, I was just some jerk. I wasn't a nice guy, and I said Timmy the Brave is about a little kid who thinks he's brave, but his dad beats him up. I can tell because of this and this, and I tell everyone what the song is about, and that's not what the song is about. It's about this other thing. How hard is it to be misunderstood, and do you worry about that?
Not really. It's funny that you asked that question because you think I would, especially when I don't have lyrics in a lot of my songs. You would think.
Yeah,
But I think a lot of the musical expression I do is really up for interpretation. It's about how they feel, about how they relate to it, and what story is in their head or their heart, and maybe it'll make them remember a good thing,
yeah,
like good
sure,
memory. So I kind of like leaving it up to people. Yes,
sure.
I'll have what I intended it for, and I do like sharing that aspect, but I like that people can come up with their own journey through it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say your titles, they don't they could be more specific if you wanted them to, if you were
right.
going for that, you know. It's I think it's an interesting challenge. Well, it's an interesting challenge for any artist, but especially for an instrumentalist to pick titles for things. You know, if you've like again, I'm gonna reference my time when I was rapping. I would get beats from people and they would have named all of these beats and the beats are like, you know, the sound under the bed, you know, the da 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 da, the feeling in
Right.
the night, the this, and it's like where, you know, and then I listen to it, I'm like, okay, under the bed, yeah, I get the under the bed vibe, you know, you kind of catch the vibe, but it's you don't want to be cliche and you don't want to lead them too much, but it's is it kind of a teaser? Is the title a teaser or is it a thesis statement or
Sometimes, and it's also it gives them an idea of what to expect with some of my lyrics, whether how deep it's going to be or how lighthearted it'll be. Sometimes
yeah.
it, because Timmy the Brave, let's face it, a lot of it's lighthearted.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
but
very buoyant
yeah,
sound. You wouldn't hear it at a funeral. You wouldn't hear it at a
no,
pub. You know,
I would hope not.
yeah, uh,
Unless they request that,
yeah.
you never
Unless
know,
that's what they're going for. Yeah, some people
right?
like a celebration of life. Um, do you think you'll write more songs about Timmy, or was this did this tap the vein, tap the well for you?
You never know. Let's just say that. You never know. I'm open to it. I don't feel anything about it right now, but you never know.
Yeah,
So I have a lot of little things in the vault that I shall not speak of, but
yeah. Well,
you'll
no,
see
that's why we're here.
what happens.
Speak of them. Speak to me. Well, that's really interesting to me because I have a hard drive full of material that no one has ever heard. That if I died
Right.
tomorrow in a car accident, it might as well have never existed because I don't think anyone's going to go into my hard drive and fish the. You know, I'm not Michael Jackson. No one's going to do that and put my music out for me, right? So we have
Right.
these ideas and they're worth saving. Is that how your process works? Do you buff them up? Do you work them up, or
I do. Some of them are just to have fun with, not
yeah,
necessarily, and also to keep up that creative flow. I have a few I'm just kind of working with, but if they do turn out to be something substantial, then I'm open to maybe later down the line uh, creating them to be an actual track or EP. I have a few ideas right now for an EP later in the year. I'm not sure if I'll get it out at that time, but I may be doing a whole different direction in the next EP.
okay,
So I
cool,
like to explore different avenues and just see what happens, see what I can create.
cool,
So I think a lot of people identify with a certain type of music, and I did for the longest time. It was electronic and ambient, but I want to see what else I can do, what I'm capable of,
Yeah.
remove the limits and see what happens. So
Cool.
we'll see.
Cool. What something that I've kind of held back from asking, but I've been a little bit curious about because I didn't want this interview to be about you as a woman artist. But is it any different being a woman in the community, in the songwriting community? Are you, I mean, I feel like you're given all the respect that you deserve. I feel, but I'm not in your shoes. I don't know what you're experiencing, you know?
I've been very fortunate. I've been welcomed into the community with open arms. Our community is just amazing, and I love so many people in it. They've been supportive of my music, supportive of my shenanigans on X. Sometimes I get silly on there. Um, and I do a weekly ambient on YouTube. So many have shown up for that.
Cool.
And it's just very heartwarming. So I've been very fortunate. I haven't really encountered too much of the stigma that women face. Not
Yeah.
that I never have, but I think I kind of just don't worry about it. I just,
Yeah.
I'm me. I'm no more, no less. I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping me because somebody might not like my music or somebody doesn't like me or doesn't agree with what I do. I'm doing it for me and for the people who resonate with it,
Hmm.
you know. So,
That's
and I
interesting.
think yeah, it took me a while to get there because at first I just wanted to be in the limelight when I was a new musician, and I think that's you get a lot of that. Oh, promote, 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 and
Sure.
let's get everything out there. And yes, someone everybody wants to be appreciated. I want to get my music heard, but it's more whether they resonate with it, whether they uh, get something from it to walk away a little bit better, a little bit more renewed.
Sure.
And so
Do you,
it always comes back to that.
do you think that your music I'm just going to stick on the gender section for gender idea for a second. uh does your music resonate more with men or women, do you think, or is it all parties or intersex of, obviously there's all stripes of people out there. um
It's interesting, yes. I've actually had a good mix.
yeah.
Um, Sometimes it's more men, which is kind of like surprising, which is great. Sometimes it's more women. I think it depends on the track as well, as far as what kind of music. But for overall, it's been a really good combination,
Yeah.
and I think that's really great.
Yeah.
So,
i
um,
I have this theory. It's kind of, I don't know how, it's kind of a half-baked theory, but the idea that, you know, you when you see, when you go into a guitar store, you see a lot more guys playing guitars than you do women playing guitars. You know, for whatever reason, men are more inclined, it seems, to pick up instruments. And I don't know if that's a self-belief thing, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, I don't know if it's whatever. I personally, my wife is a drummer, she's a musician. uh and I, of course, women can do anything, you know, musical they want to
oh,
do. But why do you think it is that more women don't follow the route that you took? And was there anything to the gender that kept you out of it and that switched and you got in? Or was it just that it happened when it happened? And stop asking me questions about being a woman, because I'm not a woman, just an artist.
I do think that sometimes I don't see myself as, oh, I'm a woman creating this stuff. I see me as me, you
Yeah.
know,
Sure.
pixie dust.
Yeah.
I'm a person like everybody else and just creating this music. There are people of all walks of life, whether it's a gender thing, an orientation, a race, religion,
Sure.
um,
Age.
yeah, age.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm no spring chicken. And but it's never too late to follow your dream,
Yeah.
whether it's a hobby or a career. It doesn't have to be a career. You don't have to promote if you don't want to. A little is good to get your music heard, but
Yeah.
you don't have to be the all analytical and numbers if that's what people are afraid of. Just enjoy the process, enjoy your gifts,
Yeah.
because the world needs that. The
Yeah.
world needs good music and good art and empowering words and actions right now because
Yeah,
we live in kind of a dark world right now. So
we
I think
do.
everything um, positive uh, on a grounded level is the best way to go. So, and I
Absolutely.
think I've had also some people look at me as, oh, she's always positive. She never has a bad day. And I've
Yeah,
dealt with that all my life. And that's not true.
yeah,
I have a bad day like everybody else, but
sure.
I think I choose not to let it stop me
Yeah,
permanently.
sure.
Um, so I think um, those are the only words I can offer someone is believe in yourself. You can do this. You're not alone, and just go for it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
So,
this is I wanted to touch on a couple of things you said. The first, the idea that you don't need to do it professionally to enjoy doing it.
right,
You don't need to be the best player in the room to enjoy doing it.
right,
You all you need to do is enjoy doing it to enjoy doing it, you know? And
and
I
people
think
tend to.
too many people get caught up in the idea of, when I was young I wanted to be a star and now I'm not going to be a star, and is it worth it? I mean, if you if one has other people in one's life, the fact that you're fulfilled is a gift to them. The fact that you're a happy, outgoing person who wrote a great song this morning and who has a spring in their step now and who greets that person with a smile, you know, I think that that has value in itself. And we don't need to worry so much about the metrics of how many people saw our stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love when people see my stuff. My ego just tickles
Oh yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
core when people enjoy my
weird.
music. I love it. I don't want to act like I'm above it because I'm not.
Oh no, I'm
Uh,
not either.
but
No,
yeah, but the we live in a time where there's so much noise out there and there's so many different things. It's hard to get someone's attention. You might think that if Pixie was the greatest instrumentalist in the world, she would be guaranteed a Grammy. No, that's not the case. There's so many millions of people. It's impossible to know who's the best, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very difficult time to be found as a musician, but at the same time, it's a very easy time to find other musicians, to connect with other people. We kind of have this double-edged sword of this internet with all of these people and all of these sounds and all of these blinking lights.
oh
And
yeah,
if you want to be the only one, you're going to struggle because that's not the era we live in. But if you can embrace, as you say, fighting off the dark time that we're in by being a positive light yourself, you know, by being full of music and full of song and being encouraging to other people, I think that has huge value.
and another thing that you kind of touched on, I think some people feel the imposter syndrome because there's so much competition out there.
Yeah,
There are some people who are like, "Oh, I'm competing with everybody, and I'm better than this person," and nobody's above anybody.
no,
I'm sorry, I don't care who you are.
yeah,
Nobody's above anybody, and there's always room for everyone.
yeah,
There is no running out of uh, a platform, running out of space for you. There's always room for your talents. I
yeah,
cannot drive that home enough. And once I realized that the cup is always full, that you're always adding to your own energy and taking care of yourself, and just go out and do it.
yeah,
Just express yourself because uh, there's only one you.
yeah,
And I know that sounds cheesy, but there's only one you, and there's only one you that can do your talents.
yeah,
So, so don't mind me.
yeah. I
I get
I
passionate about.
I almost want to stop there. We got 6 more minutes to make our hour, so I want to keep going. But that would have been a great place to stop to sum up the. I feel like we'll clip that and cut that in at the end or something. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, here's something that I've been wanting to ask you. When you come up with melody, do you know where it's going, note to note, note by note? Like, do you hear the whole phrase at once, or do you? Because when I'm writing, a lot of the time, and this is something that I want to get into more as I do this podcast, more is the nitty gritty of how does the process work for you? Do you sit down and, play it out, or do you play a note and listen, and then play two notes and listen, and three notes and, etc.
Sometimes I'll do note to note. Like I'll do a few notes and kind of see how it makes me feel and kind of go with the flow. And then I'll add a few more. Sometimes I'll plug in a VST or I'll plug in a sample or just play a few notes on the keyboard. It really depends on what it is and what track it was.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the feeling it gives me, so I'll just randomly play, like the Soul of the Storm one. I just
Okay.
randomly played out my emotion that I was feeling, and it just flowed. It's really hard to explain, but
Yeah.
I think most musicians will understand that.
Yeah.
Uh, Even if they're into the technical side of it, um, the magic happens once it starts clicking, um, and those notes start sounding like something.
Yeah.
Then,
It kind
yeah,
of tells you where it wants to go, doesn't it? Like
yeah,
I
and
I've
then
had
you
I've
follow.
had the experience whenever I write, if I come up with a good verse part, like I most things that pieces I write have two basic parts. There's a verse and a chorus, and
Right.
etc. Uh, if I write a good verse part, I don't even worry about the chorus. It's going to write itself because it tells me where it needs to go from, as you say, the
Exactly.
feeling. You know, if the verse is just kind of whatever, and it doesn't tell me much, boy, I'm going to have trouble figuring out where the chorus goes. It's going to be just as
Oh, me
generic.
too.
You need to, and I feel like when I'm writing, I'll do this thing where I'll listen to my track 10,000 times. You would think I would remember it, the first three
Right.
notes, that I wouldn't have to listen to them over and over again. But I've got to know how note number 17 sounds after 1 through 16. And then once I
Hmm.
add notes 18 through 20, I can't just go back to 15 to listen to 18 through 20. I got to go back to the beginning and see how it
Right.
all builds up. And then what does this do after that build up? And I think there's just a great degree of patience and love that goes into creating an instrumental part like that, because a lot of people don't appreciate, uh, for a lot of people, songwriting just comes in bursts.
Hmm.
They pick it, they strum a few chords, and they sing something, and the process is the bulk of it is over quick.
Right.
But for someone who's very meticulous and who's trying to express an emotion or whatever, it's a lot of re-listening, and it can be kind of a grind. I mean, it's a labor of love, but you find yourself sitting there and your eyes are getting bleary and you're going, geez, I've listened to this
Exactly.
10,000 times. I kind of hate it, but it's going to be so good, you know.
I went through that with my recent EP, and I was excited because I knew the format and the feeling and the decade I wanted to transport somebody to.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get this together? And I knew the core songs I wanted to use, but trying to come up with the other few songs I added to it and keeping that same nostalgic feeling
Yeah.
and getting it to flow, it took a while. Yeah, I was working on that for quite a bit. And I had to come back to it a few times because like you said, you get bleary eyed and
Yeah.
uh, you almost start butting heads with your inner self after a
Sure.
while.
Yeah.
So sometimes stepping back from it helps, and then you go back to it. You go, oh, okay, now
Yeah.
I can go with this, and that helped a lot.
Cool.
So, so
Cool. How about this? Is there anything about Timmy the Brave or about Pixie Post as an artist that we have just missed completely? And next time I'll know to ask my next guest about this thing that you're going to tell me right now. What should we know about Timmy the Brave that we haven't talked about?
um, we pretty much covered the whole essence of Timmy. I think it's just an example of how to have fun with your music. Um, how you could tell a story or um, take a memory that you love so much and create it as a music piece. And that way people can know a part of you that's so important in your development. And I think Timmy was a big part of that. He was there in all aspects of my life, and I thought he deserved to have that representation of him.
That's nice. That's very sweet. Yeah, it's so the bond between humans and pets is can only be understood by other people who have that bond. You know, some people who don't have pets or who aren't animal people don't like pets. They're like, geez, your
Right.
cat died. It's a cat. It's like, no, it's not a cat. It was a
Oh,
best friend. It was a pillow. It was an adventure partner. It was, shoulder to cry. And it was all these things. And
exactly.
I
The
think it,
interesting thing about cats is
yeah,
they have one paw in one dimension and another paw in this dimension.
there you
So
go.
it's kind of comical that it all aligned in the EP since that's in another dimension
Okay,
of the
cool.
universe. So
Cool.
it was pretty interesting.
All right.
But yeah,
Well,
you're right. It's the bond between
yeah,
animals and pets.
yeah,
And as a pet owner, I think they'll understand that even more.
yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we've reached our hour.
Oh,
Uh, Pixie, you are a star. Thank you to
thank you.
everybody who joined in. I'm sorry if you had questions. My thing wasn't working and showing me the chat this time, so I literally completely did not see any of the chat at all. I apologize if you had
Yeah,
questions
I
for
haven't either.
Pixie. Yeah. Uh, but thank you to everybody for stopping by. And that's the Songwriter Studio with Pixie Post, Timmy the Brave. What? Cute!